Hi. So on the last recording, I talked a bit about Virgo and surrounding topics, again, touching on some information from the book that I mentioned, The Zodiac and the Salts of Salvation. And I also touched on my not my list, it's not mine. Um, Two things I want to say, hopefully I'll remember the second. But diaphragms. And I'm doing this because I'm envisioning the diagram that I made with the tetrahedrons and the octahedrons. I think I know that I'll touch on that diaphragm stuff again at some point in this journey, but you alone, if you watched it, I feel like you could pick up on your own messages or interpretations from the way that I pulled information from different people and said, well, this looks like the list of what I see. And it's always sort of interesting to me how many things, not ultimately, but how many things do add up to a group of 12 or 13. It's just interesting. When I was little, I was obsessed with the number 12. And I knew that it had to do with the dimensional mechanics of this plane and how I interpreted them as a human in this time space. And I would walk around counting by 12s. I'd be like 12, 24, 36. Seeing if anybody else also liked 12. Like what a weird way, but also my kind of way to see. Like, is anyone else picking up what I'm putting down? To this day, I have a hard time remembering how many years are in a decade because it should be 12, right? I understand where we are, but the bleed over between events that have happened here, but also you could say the very literal fabric of reality and the stories that have been weaving certain illusions and perceptions and realities. There's tens and twelves in varying funny ways as well. I think a lot of things are funny and interesting, okay? So we're going to continue here with this third episode or video in this series that I've entitled the 88 series. Um, if you want to watch the other videos, go ahead. If you don't, you should do what you want. So I think I made them all pink, all the backgrounds. And like I've mentioned, and if you hadn't, okay, so if you haven't watched the other videos, these are lightly edited. These slides are all from a class or journey that I entitled the Grain of Salt Journey, and it was an unconventional approach and perspective on the Virgo Pisces axis. And I did that from December 2024 to May 2025. And so I've taken some things out, adding a little bit of things in here and there, but ultimately, I mean, you could just say I'm lazy. I don't feel like going back and changing everything. I'm gonna cut myself off and just continue. Virgo Pisces axis, the sea money system. So, what I usually like to do is pull the last slide from the last video and make it the first slide of this next video. Fin ants, fin lance, lance being a spear, a throwback to Neptune etymology. And oh, I like this one, fin ancestors, like mermaids, or like anyone with fins, depending on how you see things. So there's a lot going on with shifts through time and space and differing perceptions, temperatures and homeostasis. And when I think of the sea and a certain masculine presence, I do think of Poseidon, aka Neptune. I've not been alone on my recent years' journey exploring the trident and the depths of the letter psi. So the trident being like a spear up here, trident here, and in the middle at the bottom is an uppercase and lowercase Greek letter called psi, Psi. Um, Oh, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 here, 12:34. And I got a ding. Yeah, my text noise is the Mario coin. Neptune, Poseidon. This summer, so again, this is from last summer when I wrote these. I will say, because I don't think I really even shared, I just kind of dove into all of this. But so those, if you're watching this and you were in the journey, what's up? But and you already know this, but last year I was in this stage and I'm still sort of in it where I'm like, I don't really like doing certain things that I used to like to do. And I know there's a part of me that for a while did some things because I needed to be steady in a certain way. Let's call it like doing some things to make money. But then there's something deeper where, I say, well, what are my true morals and values? And there are things I'm good at and get applauded for, but are they really the things that I should be in service doing or should be doing to make money? Blah, blah, blah. So, if you've been watching this and you don't know me at all, maybe you can tell, like I shared that or maybe I didn't share it here. I call myself a free form thinker. I had a doctor who tried to diagnose me with free form thinking. And so the way I logic is not that conventional, I would say. Not like, oh, I'm so special and different than anybody ever. No. But I see things in certain ways, and that's why I like to talk about certain things to do with neurodivergence, but not necessarily in the way others who like to talk about that stuff might. So not to say I'm different and like nobody gets me. No, I'm just saying like, yeah, talk about some stuff, but the way I talk about it might be a little bit like you tossed it in the air and you're looking at it backwards, upside down also. Or maybe you're looking at it in a mirror, or maybe in a mirror and there's like a strobe light on. Um, so I was inspired by many things, but my intention was ultimately that I want to do what I want to do, and I want to share from my lens and the way I see things. Not that it's all about me, but I find that I people please or dim what I actually want to say or do because of ABC, whatever. And so I wrote I hand wrote uh over 100 pages of notes, and then I turned them into this. It wasn't my plan, but when I was looking at them, I was like, this is some good stuff. I should share this. Initially, it was just for me. So maybe there's something in that for you in terms of reflection, but I did just want to share that it's a snapshot of the way that I see things. And like I explained, if you watch the first video, how I see or I could find everything in anything. And I literally mean like a cap to a water bottle, or I could find anything in everything. So I'm going to continue along this journey and just show you the way that I see things. And so some things I repeat and some things I won't touch back on for a little bit. I don't know how many videos there will be total, but most likely less than 30, but it is like a kind of long, it was 6 months that I took to do it. So I'm not forcing any expectations here on how you want to receive it. But I will say that I will, and I do repeat myself when it comes to reminding you that this is me sharing it as a Teresa. I'm not just Teresa, but I feel we influence and impact each other greatly without even trying to. And so it's not to dim myself or water myself down or whatever. It's because I truly want you to take what I'm sharing and remember that I am not like you're dumb and you need me to be like, remember, this is me. Hello. No, but like, I mean, you'll hear me say it, is what I'm saying. So, like, yeah, I'm aware. I repeat myself. And now let me continue. So, last summer, 2024, I was reflecting on the storm from the beach trip in 2023 that I mentioned. So I feel like I'm going to keep saying that. You should probably just go back and watch it. But if you can pick up on the telepathic vibes, you don't need to. When and how this Poseidon archetype basically ended up coming to me for atonement. So I decided to peep the Poseidon Wikipedia page again to peer into who created his trident. And this is when the other journey unfolded, a journey within the journey. So I called it the grain of salt journey. Here we're calling it the 88 series because of where I will wrap the journey. I don't know if I'll ever wrap this up, but we'll see. The journey path became clearer. And this is Neptune and his seahorses, and I covered up his face with a planet. In Greek myth, he is Poseidon, in Roman, Neptune, and per much history, we don't necessarily just have one account of this being, this archetype. In alchemical lore, so this is some zodiac and the salts of salvation. In alchemical lore, acid is Saturn or Satan. The absence of Neptune or Christ principle gives license to Saturn or Satan to run riot in the holy temple. The body is the temple made without tools. Without going deeper here, there is a balance in life. In all fractalized holographic layers of reflections, acid and alkaline, water and salt, etc. There's not just one balance, though, or one ratio. It is said that Neptune's son, non-time, sea, father, Neptune's father, is Saturn, Cronus, time, and his mother is Rhea, or Ops, or Cybele, or Magna Mater, earth and matter. So we have non-sea and time, time and earth, matter. Magna means great. Ru or Rio means flow or discharge. Era is time. It also means ground. Roa, Roya, pomegranate, pomum is apple, granatum, seeded of a dark red color. Modern French term for pomegranate is grenade, which led to the term the military grenade, a small explosive shell. And now I'll expand on this and that 3M energy a little later. We also have granum, grain. Hello, Virgo. Pomegranate, fruit of the dead. Persephone, Proserpina, Cora, daughter of Zeus and Demeter, or Zeus and Rhea. Let's open up to two myths framed around her. And on the left here, we have Rhea, also being a genus of bird, ratites, nandus, or South American ostrich. A nod to when I say everything is connected. It's something I want to bring up here because someone I follow and admire shares often. She has a card deck and there is an ostrich with its head in the sand. And she explains that often when, you know what, I have it right here. I'll have to, I don't know if I'll read the whole thing. Should I now flip through and look for the card? I guess that's what I'm doing. So, oh, it's right here. Oh, and the card is perception. So, perception. And so the idea is people will reference this with like a kind of pejorative tone in giving the ostrich with its head in the sand, like ignorant, unaware, uh, when really it is a mommy turning her eggs for the betterment of the offspring or her life that she is nourishing. Um, yeah, the image can conjure a feeling of the inability to face a wider perspective. To be fair, the ostrich burrows her head in the ground and not to hide, but to rotate her eggs. When this card comes to you, it is the symbolism of burying one's head in the ground that we are mediating upon. So I'm not going to read the whole card. Um, but it's kind of an interesting thing to come up right here because that is kind of how I want to play with this, where we're going to be looking at things. I like to say backwards and upside down because that is how I feel I am in this place. It's hard to explain unless I could like plug you into my experiential perspective and explain it without words. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I just felt the need to mention that. A nod to when I say everything is connected, or we can choose to see everything in anything. The symbols of Hades or Pluto, who is more often connected to Scorpio in certain lenses, carries a lot of overlaying connections with the themes we are discussing. Cornucopia, cypress, narcissus, keys, serpent, mint plant, white poplar, dog, pomegranate, sheep, cattle, screech owl, horse, chariot. We've already mentioned about half of those. Maybe not fully half. But here we can see the depth beyond the stories of men versus women and into the lenses of a more unified approach to what certain symbology can unfold. And you could say Neptune is fascia. You could say Pluto is. Pluto being from Latin, Pluto, Pluton, from Greek, Pluton, whatever. God of wealth. Let me move my screen back up there. God of wealth. Excuse me. God of wealth, riches. Probably originally overflowing to flow, plu. The alternative Greek name or epithet of Hades in his function as the god of wealth. Okay, whatever. Precious metal. I feel like I read that all weird and I burped, so it's a thing. It was a thing. Precious metals and gems coming from beneath the earth form part of his realm. The precious metals and gems coming from beneath the earth could also be related to fascia, to minerals, the overflowing and ever-flowing nature of our eternal internal fluids, and those diaphragms. Fun thing with the diaphragms is when you're singing or humming or toning or just whatever, making any noise, focusing on different areas of those diaphragms where not just inner waters, but energy flows. But I digress. These are some images of some marrow and some collagen and some fascia, coins and crystals. Neptune, Poseidon, pomegranate continued. Here's a little story because I am wanting to be clear about certain things. Okay. Just putting quotations around things. Demeter's daughter Persephone was abducted to the underworld by Hades, who received permission from her father Zeus to take her as his bride. Demeter searched for her ceaselessly for 9 days, preoccupied with her grief. Hecate then approached her and said that while she had not seen what happened to Persephone, she heard her screams. Together, the two goddesses went to Helios, the sun god who witnessed everything that happened on earth, thanks to his lofty position. Helios then revealed to Demeter that Hades had snatched a screaming Persephone to make her his wife with the permission of Zeus, the girl's father. Demeter then filled with anger. The seasons halted. Living things ceased their growth and began to die. Faced with the extinction of all life on earth, Zeus sent his messenger Hermes to the underworld to bring Persephone back. Hades agreed to release her if she had eaten nothing while in his realm, but Persephone had eaten a small number of pomegranate seeds. This bound her to Hades and to the underworld for certain months of every year, most likely the dry Mediterranean summer when plant life is threatened by drought, despite the popular belief that it is autumn or winter. This is just one perspective, one version, one story. Okay. There are several variations on the basic myth. The earliest account, the Homeric hymn to Demeter, relates that Persephone is secretly slipped a pomegranate seed by Hades, and in Ovid's version, Persephone willingly and secretly eats the pomegranate seeds. Thinking to deceive Hades, but is discovered and made to stay. Contrary to popular perception, Persephone's time in the underworld does not correspond with the unfruitful seasons of the ancient Greek calendar, nor her return to the upper world with springtime. Demeter's descent to retrieve Persephone from the underworld is connected to the Eleusinian mysteries. The myth of the capture of Persephone seems to be pre-Greek. In the Greek version, Plutos, wealth, represents the wealth of the corn that was stored in underground silos or ceramic jars. Similar subterranean pithoi were used in ancient times for funerary practices. At the beginning of autumn, when the corn of the old crop is laid on the fields, she ascends and is reunited with her mother, Demeter, for at this time the old crop and the new meet each other. So, yet another layer of where Virgo and Libra seasons have a similar but different and distinct turning point. A nod to Virgo. You purring? It's Bob. Nod to Virgo, my cat, if you don't know who Bob is, it's my gray tabby cat. A nod to Virgo and the word seed in different forms, corn being one. And a quick nod to the pomegranates in modern science. Pomegranate, Punica gratum, or punica, is an ancient perennial plant species of the Punaceae family regarded as the miracle fruit, for its seeds being consumed as food, juice, and as a functional food. Significant modern pharmacological and clinical evidence has highlighted the wide medicinal applications of pomegranate fruit parts and its juice. Pomegranate juice, PJ, superior to other fruit juices, is a fortified source of dietary. I feel like I'm doing this a lot. Holding my hand up. Um, PJ is a fortified source of dietary polyphenols with potential antioxidant capacity. Polyphenols of polyphenols. Let me drink a little bit of water. I'm sorry, Bob. I didn't mean to startle you. Polyphenols of PJ include tannins, anthocyanins, and flavonoids. Oh, it says, okay. Sorry, words in me. I'm getting like, there's a lot of words that I don't know. Not that I don't know them, but I don't know any words. I don't know anything. The presence of these beneficial phytochemicals is directly linked to its favored health benefits, viz., obesity and diabetes management and anti inflammatory effects. This comprehensive review capitalizes on PJ with emphasis on the interrelationship between its holistic chemical composition, metabolism, and biological effects. Moreover, the review recapitulates on the diverse health benefits of PJ and relates patents in the field of PJ production to ensure the best produced juice quality. Over there on the right, it says the structure of punicalagin, the main polyphenolic compound present in pomegranate. And to me, it looks like pomegranate seeds itself. More on pomegranate. And even more later. Some more pomegranate lore. They were seen on the coins of Side or Side, ancient Greece, which is now Turkey, Side or Side meaning pomegranate. Two of the myths. Side, I keep wanting to pronounce it Side or Side, and I don't know what to do. I'm going to just say Side. The first wife of Orion and possible mother of his daughters, Metioche, Metioche and Menippe. She was cast by Hera into Hades because she rivaled the goddess in beauty. Modern scholars interpret the supposed marriage of Orion to pomegranate as a mythical expression for the ripening of the fruit in the season when the constellation Orion is visible in the sky. She might have been the mother of Orion's daughters, Menippe and Mediat. So it feels like a whole interesting cycle there. But noted Orion also. Side, a moral woman who was chased down by her father, Ictinus, intending to blank her. Side killed herself on her mother's grave, and the gods turned her blood into a pomegranate tree. Her father was changed into a kite bird that never rested on a pomegranate tree. And we'll talk more about seasons and some of this stuff later. Aside from all of the blank and incestuous habits in these myths, there is symbology of the elements and their chemical interactions. But when it does come to the inappropriate, impulsive, passion, emotion-driven, hypersexual ideas and actions, that does reflect layers of history, herstory, and our story. men versus women, women versus women, adults versus children, gender versus non-gender, element versus element, etc. Poseidon, the son of Kronos or Saturn, and who is the son of Uranus and Gaia, and Rhea, it's not supposed to be an underscore, it's meant to be a plus sign. Poseidon and Rhea, also the daughter of Uranus and Gaia. Poseidon is one of the 12 Olympians, and that could also be like the 12 cranial nerves. Sorry for if there's confusion with the typos there. His siblings, Poseidon's siblings, Hades, Demeter, Hestia, Hera, and Zeus. Would that be Neptune's siblings? Rules the sea, storms, earthquakes, and horses. Protector of seafarers, guardian of Hellenistic cities and colonies. So take it with a grain of salt. That's why the journey is called that. The strike of Poseidon's trident creates springs that flow. And the words spring and horse are related. Um, Poseidon held the cult title of Pylos and Thebes of Earthshaker. In Plato's Timaeus and Critias, Atlantis is considered the home of Poseidon. I like to look at it, and I'm sure others do, as at the cerebellum as Atlas and the cerebrum as Atlantis, which could also be considered Olympus in this case. So over here on the right, I have that where we have Atlantis as the upper brain or the cerebrum and Atlas as the cerebellum. And then I included this imagery where we have these two creatures on the sides at the bottom, which we're not even going to get into, but we do have Atlas holding up the world, and that's how I kind of see that. And I'm not the only one. I'm not saying this is my idea, okay? Some say Poseidon was a Pelasgian God. The Pelasgians came before the Greeks. Pelargos, meaning stork, and we'll come back to this. Pelagos, meaning sea. Plagos, meaning side, which is flat and also means pomegranate in other lenses. Pelagskoi, flatland inhabitants. Wikipedia says that this word could be connected to the maritime martyrs referred to as the sea people in Egyptian record. Pelasgikon or Gaikon, the northern side of the Athenian Acropolis, its equivalent in cloud cuckoo land is called Pelargikon of the stork. Okay, so the stork and a nod to Aristophanes' play entitled The Birds. Shout out to anyone I went to middle school with who happens to be watching this. I did the xylophone music for the play. I don't know if I mentioned that on here, but I remember it still. Dun 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 dun. Okay. We wrote the music too. Okay, the plot of the play revolves around Pistheterius. Sorry for my pronunciation. Okay, Pistheterius, an Athenian who convinces the birds to create a great city in the sky and thus regain their status as the original gods. Pistheterius eventually transforms into a bird-like god himself and replaces Zeus as king of the gods. The birds, he says, should stop flying about like idiots and instead should build themselves a great city in the sky, since this would both allow them to lord it over men and enable them to blockade the Olympian gods in the same way that the Athenians had recently starved the island of Melos into submission. They named the city in the sky Nepholocokygia, or literally Cloud Cuckoo Land, and nod back to Nephal, meaning cloud, thereby gaining control over all communications between men and gods. Cloud Cuckoo Land is a state of absurdly over-optimistic fantasy or an unrealistically idealistic state of mind where everything appears to be perfect. Someone who is said to live in Cloud Cuckoo Land is a person who thinks that things that are completely impossible might happen rather than understanding how things really are. It also hints that the person referred to is naive, unaware of realities, or deranged in holding such an optimistic belief. In the modern world, a cloud cuckoo lander is defined as someone who is seen as crazy or strange by most average people, often doing or saying things that seemingly only make sense to themselves, but also exhibiting cleverness at times in ways that no one else would think of. Like I said, this is just the beginning of the journey within the journey. And I just found this to be really interesting. The living nature of the web of life and how it arises and becomes acknowledged, even if not known or fully understood. I'm a cloud cuckoo lander. One theory suggests that the name Poseidon breaks down to husband or lord of the earth, husband or lord being Potis, and earth being Da or G or Gi, linking him with Demeter, the earth mother, Dawan, meaning water, Da or Den, to run, to flow, Danu, fluid, drop, dew, Danube or Don rivers, master of waters. The sea restrained Poseidon when walking as a foot bond, a nod to Pisces and to Dactyl. We have Posidesmon. He knew many things. Pola Eiditos or Pola Aidon. He knew many things. Symbols of Poseidon. We have trident, fish, dolphin, horse, bull, dolphin with the phi highlighted there. Sorry. Dolphin. Phi, fin, finance. Dole, one's fate, charity, or governmental financial assistance. Fin, a lute, a type of lute with a pear-shaped body, originating in the Isan region of Thailand and playing mostly the ethnic Laotians in Thailand and Laos. On the dole, monetary assistance reference. Dolphin, popular name of a diverse group of marine animals, also including the porpoise, but the true dolphin has a longer and more slender snout. We have dolphin, delphinus, delphis, womb, perhaps via notion of the animal bearing live young or from its shape. Popularly applied to the dorado from the late 16th century through some confusion, and a nod to dorado and the capstone in the next several slides. So we have some ascension glossary stuff. The constellation is so called from the early 15th century, and Dolphin is the title of the eldest son of the King of France. Delphinus is a constellation in the northern sky close to the celestial equator. Its name is Latin for dolphin. Delphinus was one of the 48 constellations listed by 2nd century astronomer Ptolemy, and it remains among the 88 88 modern constellations recognized by the International Astronomical Union. If you I don't think I talked about that here. Never mind. But that's shortened to okay. The International Astronomical Union is also called the IAU. Okay, so Delphinus is one of the smaller constellation, ranked 69th in size. Delphinus's brightest stars form a distinctive asterism that can easily be recognized. It is bordered clockwise from north by Vulpecula the fox and Sagitta the arrow, Aquila the eagle, Aquarius the water carrier, Aquilius the foal, and Pegasus constellation the flying horse. Delphinus is associated with the two stories from Greek mythology. And this is, like I said, from Wikipedia slash, I pulled it from Ascension Glossary, but I know she got it from, or they got it from Wikipedia. Maybe somewhere else too. But Delphinus is associated with two stories from Greek mythology. According to the first, Greek god Poseidon wanted to marry Amphitrite, a beautiful Nereid. She, however, wanting to protect her virginity, fled to the Atlas Mountains. Her suitor then sent out several searchers, among them a certain delphinus. Delphinus accidentally stumbled upon her and was able to persuade Amphitrite to accept Poseidon's wooing. Out of gratitude, the god placed the image of a dolphin among the stars. The second story tells of the Greek poet Arion of Lesbos, 7th century BC, who was saved by a dolphin. He was a court musician at the palace of Periander, ruler of Corinth. Arion had amassed a fortune during his travels to Sicily and Italy. On his way home from Tarentum, his wealth caused the crew of his ship to conspire against him. Threatened with death, Arion asked to be granted a last wish, which the crew granted. He wanted to sing a dirge. Is that how you say it? A dirge? This he did, and while doing so, flung himself into the sea. There he was rescued by a dolphin, which had been charmed by Orion's music. Orion? The dolphin carried Arion to the coast of Greece and left. Orion. I'm just gonna say, okay. Dorado etymology. So we have the mahi-mahi, Coryphania hipparus, also known as the dolphin fish, hence that confusion mentioned before, or lampuki in Maltese. Very interesting that Maltese is mentioned there, and we'll come back to that. They're surface-dwelling ray-finned fish found in offshore tropical and subtropical waters worldwide. The name mahi-mahi is strong in Hawaiian. When they are removed from the water, the fish often change between several colors, and this being the reason for their name in Spanish, dorado mavericos, finally fading to a muted yellow-gray upon death. Okay, so they're related to the word maverick as it's an eponym deriving from the name Samuel Augustus Maverick, an American cattleman who left the calves of his herd unbranded. In common usage, a maverick is a rebellious person, especially a loner who opposes established rules. Treasury, the thesaurus, is named after the Greek term thesis, positing, that is, deposit. Thus, thesis meaning positing, and the term has combined a Greek with a Latin word for the elementus, meaning deposit. In Greek and Latin supplies aurum, gold, so that the word thesaurus, sorry for the lack of spaces, sounds like a combination gold deposit. An auraria, i.e., a kind of tax, also a gold mine, takes its name from gold, aurum. So the etymologies of Isidore of Seville, 17th century. So I didn't read this until after I'd put it together initially. And the slides, it all ended up fitting so well. And this is another example of not needing to know what you're really looking for, what you're trying to do. So like you could left brain logically, but things coming together in a certain way. So let this series also be an example of that, like I didn't make these. And like I said, I'm not going back and editing them. So it all makes sense. I'm just reading them for the most part as I did them then. And I wrote those, all those handwritten pages, but I didn't know what I was doing really. So it's not about me being an utter genius, although I am. It's more so that energy of finding anything and everything or everything and anything and reading energy in a certain way and seeing how when you acknowledge certain layers of the stories that exist within the fabric of the layers of reality and the threads upon which we exist and materialize upon, but also exist and experience beyond just physically, they show themselves more in whatever ways I guess you could say you're willing to see. El Dorado or El Dorado, it's the same thing. Spanish for the gilded one is a metaphor applied to any place of fabulous wealth or inordinately great opportunity. El Dorado is a legendary city or historical region of the New World somewhere in South America. El Dorado is a legend that began with the story of a South American tribal chief who covered himself with gold dust and would dive into a lake of pure mountain water. As the story was told and retold, El Dorado came to be viewed as a city containing immense wealth, a legend that inspired many explorers from the 1500s on. According to Fraley, the king or chief priest of the Musica or Muisca was said to be ritually covered with gold dust as a religious festival held in Lake Guadavita near present-day Bogota. The story of El Dorado was embellished with accounts of his I said golden silly, golden city, the mythical Manoa, where even the cooking utensils were made of gold. Explorers and adventurers took off on the hunch that the city was located somewhere in the unexplored forests of the Amazon Valley and vanished into the jungle, scores never returning. So there's all a reason, even if if it might not make sense at first, why I'm sharing things. Dorado constellation. So we went from dolphin and delphinus to dorado because of that name misplacement where the stories overlapped and people called two different fish the same thing at one point. Doradus in Latin next to, so this is the constellation. Horologium. Horologium. Why is it called that? I want to say Halogium. Horologium constellation. The pendulum clock telling the hour. Reticulum constellation. The small net. A net of crosshairs at the focus of a telescope's eyepiece used to measure star positions. And Mensa constellation, sometimes called the Devil's Peak or the Lion's Head. And dorado being that colorful tropical fish, also known as dolphin, but also as mahi mahi or strong strong. Dorado being that gilded one. So to gild over, gold, etc. And Dorado is a constellation in the southern sky, and it was named in the late 16th century and now is one of those 88 constellations. What else do I need to say? I don't need to read all of this. You could pause it and read it if you want to. Argo Novice. Argon is another interesting layer. I think we touch on, but I'm not sure. Dorado has been represented historically as a dolphin fish and a swordfish. The latter depiction is inaccurate. It's also been represented as a goldfish. So this is a little bit more from Ascension Glossary, but what I had mentioned before, I think I'd mentioned sapphire body the last recording, but I'm bringing it back around with the dorado and doradic and capstone energies here. So I'm going to use the bathroom real quick. I didn't need to tell you that. I'm going to pause this and I'll be back. You'll never know how long I was gone. 10th chakra. So again, this is from, like it says at the bottom, Ascension Glossary for, like, this snapshot. I'm not saying that it's all true and accurate, but we're playing around with some things here. 10th chakra is also known as that solar star chakra, located 6 inches above the crown chakra and is sapphire in color. I think I mentioned that I realized oh, I wrote it at the bottom. I did add that in. Last week I realized that my favorite dry erase marker, I got like a big variety pack, and the one I like most is this dark, dark blue. It's right over there. And then I looked it up, I realized it's sapphire. So, let me stop making, I don't know if I'm making noise. I'm fidgeting with stuff here. Okay. So sapphire chakra. Okay. Soul star, solar star. The 10th chakra has lines around our left side, and its main portal is a network from behind the left ear to the crown chakra, the 7th chakra, into the soul star, bloop, directly above our crown, about 6 to 8 inches above our head. Um, This is a triad communication station portal from our avatar triad, Christ consciousness intelligence. And without this communication hub in our light body, we cannot sense communication from the crystal star at that frequency level. The thalamus is connected to the 10th axiatonal lines and the 10th chakra. So take it or leave it when it comes to me mentioning chelantic science. I will share more from Ascension Glossary as well as some of the MCEO Freedom Teachings PDFs throughout the years, but I'm not sharing it because I subscribe to all of it, but I do think it's helpful to pick certain information, not to manipulate to make things look a certain way, but to say, this fits some of what I'm talking about, but maybe not in the exact way it's being talked about in certain circles and spheres centered around chelantic science. Again, that's why I called the journey Take It. I didn't say take it with a grain of salt, but it was called grain of salt. Okay, sapphire body. For the activated blue flame lineages, the intensity of blue body multidimensional corrections and the building out of the corrected 10D sapphire body configurations quickly advanced into accelerated, heavy purging of all that is related to the anti-female architecture of satanic lunar forces. For many, this comes with total exhaustion, brain fog, feeling spaced out, discombobulated and disoriented when unable to think or function normally, aches and pains in back, hips, and legs, along with an assortment of physical detoxification symptoms or ascension kundalini flu. Moving into the 13th stage of Piscean alchemical laws, doubled down with the multiple explosive Stargate reconnections with Cosmic Father's pink diamond pillar network integrated into the corrected sapphire body network, which merged into several timelines that reached a crescendo of space opera dramas and catalyzed intense ascension symptoms around March 11th. So it's been 2.5 years since this almost. Um, and so I'm not saying it's not active, but let's say I know people are like, don't blame the moon, don't blame whatever. You could take some of the heat off of yourself trying to figure everything out and shift some of the lenses of autoimmune disorder and disease, everything sucks and is awful, or ascension symptoms. And it's not an either or necessarily, but you could say that we have depending on your age, so I don't want to project too much, but we've all grown up with a certain amplification of projections on what pain is or what emotional discomfort is or mental overwhelm or stimulation in certain ways. And so I feel we're simply in a time of slowing down and recalibrating. And it's like when you have, a knot, whether in your hair or a muscle to work out, it takes a certain frequency and energy, and it can be painful to undo the knot. And it's not just a knot. Okay, so let me zoom in on this, see if you wanted to look at that a little bit. And I have access to a lot of these PDFs. And like I said, I'll continue to share from them, but I will not be going into so much of the dogma or the teachings. Oh, well, I didn't need to do that. Here it is on the next slide. So we were looking at that 12. Again, me and 12s, it just fits. Okay, so the doradic shield. These are 5 horizontal triad grids that hold the morphogenetic field or morphogenetic blueprint for the stations of identity in each harmonic universe. So again, I'm throwing things at you, words you might not know, but if you feel into them and you want to look on Ascension Glossary or you want to look at some PDF, you can message me or comment, or you can not listen to these parts or not want to know more. You can just, like I say, let it wash over you. I don't know why I say that. Okay. So stations of identity in each harmonic universe. Each triad body forms into a personal shield that builds the horizontal structure of the auric field levels of the 12 tree grid and is the construct for holding the mental bodies and masculine principle. The doradic shield is activated by the indigo hara and begins the unification of 4D, 5D, 6D mental bodies upon the second harmonic universe, which contains the extensions of the soul matrix. I left that text in there. It's from the website. See horizontal triad bodies. So if you want to go there and look that stuff up, it's there. Mid shield diagonal 45 degrees from left to lower right, 6D indigo sphere, 5D blue sphere, 4D green sphere. So that's this second set here. I don't know why it's up there like that. Did I put it on the next page? No, not this time. No. I don't know if I'm going to read all of these. I know I did before. Okay, so this 6D indigo sphere, 5D blue sphere, 4D green sphere, those are the colors correlated with the chakras. You know, you got green, blue, indigo, also a rainbow. These are trinitized form of one horizontal body or doradic shield. When the bodies are integrated and merged horizontally, the mental aspects of the trinity activate new sensory body functions. So again, it doesn't need to be anyone else's storyline or story, but the shifting of things can be uncomfortable. Stimulation and sensation carry a wide spectrum of feeling, thinking, and knowing. And the way we all experience that may be different. When these bodies unify, cellular telepathy and the ability to read energy signatures transpires. The ability to transmute energy and potential senses begin for transfiguration and transmigration. The doradic shield holds the 4D, 5D, 6D layer of DNA and its axiatonal lines, chakras, and seed crystals that form the three mental bodies in the second harmonic universe. 4D astral, 5D archetypal, and 6D celestial minds. Through soul integration, we will integrate the three layers of these stations of identity in order to build the personal doradic shield and progress through our consciousness evolution. Teach their own. I did want to include this, so I guess I'll just read it. The heart chords in the planetary, I feel like I said that like, ugh, I don't love reading. Okay? I'll just say it. I mean, I know I'm sitting here reading these slides to you, but like, ugh, I don't know. And I'm not hating on people who like to read. Just me. It's like I'm all like, when I'm up in the air, I'm up in the sky, and I'm having a hard time on this level sometimes with people. So like words, so shapes, how can I put all of this into that? It takes a while for me to process sometimes. But okay, let me just read it. The heart chords, you see that chords with an H? The heart chords in the planetary doradic current matrix are changing from a multitude of events that are transpiring at this time. So like 2023-ish energy. Actually maybe 2024 too. And who cares? Time's not linear. But you can care. I don't not care, but sometimes I don't care. The planetary body is undergoing a change in its doradic heart body, which is the section of the horizontal triad bodies that exists to merge with the 4D, 5D, 6D layers into one unified horizontal shield from within the second harmonic universe. As our human bodies directly interface with the planetary body, many are experiencing changes in their light body and the quality of its frequency accretion into the heart chakra within the 4D and 7D intersections connected to the planetary ley lines. You got that 4D Cancer and 7D Libra energy, those cardinal, second and third cardinal signs, the middle, you could say. The pathway of the doradic frequency chords. This is why I always say, Lisa Renee, if you're out there, let me edit your website because you got chords and then you got chords, but maybe they're both, right? They're both. The pathway of the doradic frequency chords runs from the heart chakra into the center of both palms, which may become activated and greatly sensitized to running doradic frequency. This tri-wave doradic frequency pulls into the center of the palms of both hands as soul healing current. And for some, this will generate a healing palm hand frequency that can activate others into soul matrix reconnection when you touch them or run healing intentions with doradic energy current. Some of us that are newer on the ascension pathway may be experiencing energy activation to the lower Dantian point. Could also kind of be connected with like lower burner, if we're talking triple burner energies. Connected to the fetal cells located on the tailbones. We got some sacral and root chakra energies. This is the first stages of Kundalini activation, which is the foundation of the telluric shield or physical matter in which to build strength for the higher frequencies of the doradic heart current. One cannot activate the doradic heart shields without the 1D, 2D, 3D horizontal shield in the perineum area of the root chakra stabilized as the foundational shield current in which to build upon. So we are really looking at that sacral area, sacral plexus, sacral chakra, emotional body, pain body, etc. energy. I feel like that's what this go around is about a lot, if you feel me. Guardian Host mentions this is why there have been 2D orange rod distortions being cleared out as this is necessary in order to properly activate doradic heart chords. See last month's news. You just go on Ascension Glossary and search any of this if you actually want to look further into it. When the soul matrix begins to embody, it starts building its trinity frequency within a particular horizontal shield connected to the second harmonic universe. This soul matrix architecture is known as the doradic shield, of which it has its own triple braided light current. The doradic heart shield has a triple life force current that is braided as 4D green, 7D violet, and 1112D silver, which manifests at the heart chakra level to prepare for the crystal heart flowering of monadic integration. I feel like I've shared a lot of text from here and there today. There are some of us that have embodied this personal doradic shield. However, the distinction made is that this activation is a planetary event. That the planetary interface changes the strength and increases the intensity of three doradic frequencies in the collective human race consciousness field. So 4D, 5D, 6D. For those unprepared for this planetary heart chakra activation, albeit are impacted by these frequencies, the uncleared lunar shadows generate chaos, disruption, and the energetic pressure to transform and open the heart center is extremely high. So I call these Mad Hatter times. We are in saturation point energy, and I might have mentioned this, but it's a thing I mention often. But when you were in school maybe and you did a saturation point experiment, and that would be like mixing salt into water, keep adding salt as you mix the water, and then when the salt cannot be saturated any further, you start to physically visibly see the salt in the water. And so I feel that's where we are at a saturation point where we are seeing more, and we can't hold it anymore. More imagery or just imagery. Yeah, more imagery from Ascension Glossary. I'm not going to read all of the, actually, yeah, I will. Okay. So the 4-5D, 4-5-6D harmonic universe here, it's I guess I showed some down below too. So I won't read the second part, but okay, let me just. At the top, it says Halls of Amenti 5D core closed, meaning the Halls of Amenti are supposedly closed. So between these different densities and harmonic universes, we at 5D energy and 5D Earth or Tara, our magnetic repulsion zone. We're, below that. So we have Soul Matrix, Density 2, Harmonic Universe 2, fifth dimensional Earth is the theme, the foundation. So at level 4, let's start there. We have the heart chakra, which is green. Sometimes people call it pink, but there's varying energies there. So green is that primary frequency wavelength for certain access points. So we have the astral mind, collective race mind, intuition, Nadial complex, heart-lung complex, reptilian invasion, Egypt sphinx. So there's some things there that make sense. Some things you might be like, what? Some things that might go, and you should look into that if you feel called to. 5, throat chakra, blue, archetypal mind, the etheric body, a template body. So this is connected back to the first auric layer, which is the etheric layer that the physical matrix is built upon. And so in order to fix certain issues at the first level, you actually have to work at the fifth level, at this archetypal layer. Obsolete ascension timeline. I don't know if you just heard my stomach growl. Speak soul plan, Pleiadian, and then we have the sixth level, third eye chakra, indigo, color wavelength, celestial mind matrix, indigo family, perfect idea, that Virgo energy, inner vision, clarity, and Syrian energy here. Um, so like I said, I'm not going to read all of this, except the top here. It says structured bands of electromagnetic frequency, light, sound, tone, scalar wave, make up morphogenetic or instruction set fields. The DNA, okay, I guess I could have kept writing. Morphogenetic fields, the DNA instruction set. So a little bit different of a foundational pool here at this fourth density level. I didn't include the first or third densities here. So mind you, there's things missing in this imagery. But I did want to call attention to the 10th chakra, which is that solar star chakra, which is dark blue, sapphire. Christ mind, solar mind logos, frequency net. The bad aliens putting that net around the earth, but maybe we're the bad aliens. Again, if you want to watch my story time with tree series, that's when I'm sharing more about my stories. Okay, frequency net runs reversed 10th dimensional energies. The chakra is 6 inches above the crown. It says hijack, higher sensory perception or communication, and left ear to block Christos energies or messaging. Up top, or not up top, but in the middle of here, it says DNA is the genetic key to consciousness. So you are the lock and you are the key. Should I continue this here? I think I'm going to wrap this one up. Yeah, because I didn't even finish that. So I'm going to wrap this up here. I'll put it on the last. I was going to do an hour and a half, but I'm not. Like I said, these will be 60. Oh, shoot. 60 to 90 minutes long. Um, Thank you for spending this time with me today, and until next time.